Hello and welcome to another Motors.co.uk new car review. Now today we're going to be looking at the rugged Jeep Wrangler, but before we do, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the Motors.co.uk channel and remember to hit that bell icon so that you get notified each and every time we upload a new video. The Jeep Wrangler is a mud-plunging institution that has been with us for decades. Now it's a car that appeals to those people who like an active lifestyle, and now there's an all-new one. What this one promises is to be slightly more refined and slightly more grown-up than the car that it replaces. But can it achieve this? Let's find out. Despite being an all-new car, the Jeep Wrangler still looks exactly how you'd expect it to. It's big, brash and in your face, and it's likely to divide opinion because of that. However, for those who like their cars to be as imposing as possible, the Wrangler will more than fit the bill. The Jeep Wrangler's interior represents a big step forward compared to the one that you got in the older car. Now, chief among these changes is this new screen, which, as well as having media and radio, now incorporates Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So if you aren't happy with the system that you've got, then you can just change it for the one that features on your smartphone, and that's a really crucial change. Elsewhere, things are good. You've got nice, chunky buttons for the radio, and you've got these still centrally mounted window switches, which do take a little bit of getting used to. And overall, the general fit and finish feels quite rugged. You've got nice solid plastics which have been given a rubberized feel, and just the whole car feels very solid around you. This is a short wheelbase Wrangler, which means boot space isn't the best. You get 203 litres with the seats up, and this rises to 598 litres with them folded down. For context, in a Volkswagen Golf you'll get 380 litres as standard and 1,270 litres with those rear seats folded down. So despite the Jeep Wrangler being all new, the driving experience that you get is quite an old school one. Now that's because it's based on a ladder frame chassis, and that means that the body itself sits on top of an old style chassis. Now while that gives you great strength off-road and great rigidity when you are tackling rough stuff, when you're on the road, things do tend to fall apart a little bit. That means that the Jeep Wrangler isn't the best suited to on-road driving. The steering is quite vague, the ride, as you'll probably see, is quite bumpy and quite wallowy, and all that equates to a driving experience that isn't as refined as you may expect from something that costs over £45,000. Now, as I mentioned before, this car is powered by a 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine, and that produces over 260 brake horsepower, which for a car of this type is quite a lot. However, the way it delivers it is pretty strange, and it's quite peaky. The way you plant the throttle, it comes on in bursts, and this feels like there's quite a lot of lag and quite a lot of delay between you pressing the pedal and the power actually arriving. Now, if we were going to go for any engine, we'd probably opt for the diesel. Though it is a little bit slower than this petrol-powered car, outright performance isn't something that you're really after in a car like the Jeep Wrangler, and the refinement that the diesel adds to the experience is well worth the sacrifice in performance. Of course, being quite a blunt instrument and quite chunky, you're not going to get the best economy figures, and though Jeep do quote around 30 mpg, in reality you're going to get about 25, so expect to be visiting the fuel station quite often in the Jeep Wrangler. However, it's worth noting that this is a car that has been designed for outright performance off-road. So its drawbacks are really made because of its ability on that tricky terrain. It means that while you're driving off-road, you do have options. You've got a low-range gearbox, you've got four-wheel drive, both low and high. And that means that if you are tackling really difficult surfaces on a day-to-day basis, then the Jeep Wrangler is going to be a great choice. However, if you're more based on-road, then you might find its drawbacks a little annoying. The Jeep Wrangler is one of those classic heart overhead cars. Objectively, it's very flawed. It's not brilliant to drive, it's not very practical, and this petrol one is really quite thirsty. But for those who want a slice of the adventure, those people who want to have a car that feels like they could go anywhere and do anything, it'll more than fit the bill. Likewise, for those people who do genuinely need a rugged, solid off-roader, then it's a car that will more than tick boxes. That's why the Wrangler may be hard to recommend for some people, but for others it'll be the perfect choice.